Can't breathe. Can't. Need air. Elena Allen bolted upright in the uncomfortable seat in the gate area of the Moscow airport. One hand clutched her chest. Her heart was pounding so hard it felt like someone was beating her ribs from the inside. The fragments of the nightmare were still scattered in her thoughts as she fought to remember where she was. She was in an airport. She wasn't chained up. She wasn't in the dark. She caught her breath and glanced around her, instinctively searching for any threat before she finally calmed. Several passengers nearby watched her with open concern. She managed a shaky smile before she glanced down at her lap where her cell phone rested. She had 10 minutes before boarding her flight back to the United States. Then she could start to feel a bone-deep sense of relief at the thought of getting out of Moscow. Flashes of the dream that had woken her still lurked in her mind. The nightmare of what she had recently endured for 2 months had burned her so deeply that the scars ran straight through her soul. If she had never gone to that club that night, then she never would have been kidnapped, raped, tortured, and starved by that sadistic, rich Russian mobster, Vadim. She never would have endured the dark, evil things that had nearly killed her. A cold numbness settled over her each time she was swamped by memories of what Vadim had done. A gate attendant began to speak in Russian, and Elena collected her bag when she realized it was the call for boarding. As she queued up with the other passengers, she felt a prickling on her scalp. Someone was watching her. She turned her head just enough to glance to her right, and then her left, her movements economical, so slight that the people around her wouldn't notice the fear she felt. She'd had this funny feeling on and off since she'd arrived at the airport, but whenever she looked, she could see no one showing any particular interest in the 20-year-old American college student at the gate for the Los Angeles flight. But that didn't mean someone wasn't watching her, and the thought of a hidden voyeur edged her toward panic. Maybe Vadim was holding to that promise he'd made, that he would kill her, and he was finally coming after her. She wasn't the first woman he had captured, and she wouldn't be the last. But according to him, she had survived the longest. He hadn't lost interest in her because of the fire in her eyes.
Like emeralds burning me up. You won't break so easily. I like that about you.
Vadim had growled. She had been chained to the wall in a secret hidden room in his office, suffocating slowly in the dark until he opened the door. That was the horror she'd faced every day, wishing to die quietly, alone in peace in that dark little chamber, breathing in stale air and not having to face the violence of the man who had stolen her life. There were so many days that she had longed for death, but it never came. Now she was free, thanks to a paleontology professor named Royce Devereaux and his graduate student, Kenzie Martin. They had been kidnapped by Vadim and forced to help him smuggle fossils out of Mongolia. But Vadim's plan had backfired. Royce and Kenzie had saved her life, and the 3 of them had made it safely to the U.S. Embassy in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, about a week and a half ago. From there, they'd traveled to the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, where the staff had helped to sort out the logistics for her return home to the United States. So much of the days since her escape were blurry. Once she'd been able to move around without constant pain, the U.S. Embassy in Moscow had moved her to one of their apartments while they worked on helping her get the documents necessary to return to the United States. Slowly, she'd begun to feel safe behind the gates of the secured building, and now she'd started her journey back home by leaving those who had helped her.